This is David Russell, Global Head of Market Strategy for TradeStation. And today we'll look at major events for investors and traders. Stocks face major tests this week as investors brace for inflation data, a potential auto workers strike, and the expected introduction of new iPhones. The S&P 500 fell 1.4% in the holiday-shortened week between Friday, September 1st and Friday, September 8th. The drop followed two consecutive weekly gains. The news flow was mostly bearish. Apple fell on reports that China restricted the use of its products. Initial jobless claims and unit labor costs also triggered worries of hawkish policy by the Federal Reserve. However, this week's items will likely have bigger impacts on sentiment. First, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, Apple's product event is expected to feature new iPhones. Will it help or hurt the market's most valuable company? Second, at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday, the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, will provide the first reading of inflation in August. Third, at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday night, the United Auto Workers contract ends, which could trigger strikes across the industry. The catalysts happen with price charts at potentially important crossroads. Will positive news send the indexes higher into year-end? Or could a bearish break sink the markets into a longer period of consolidation and correction? So we'll chart the market. The S&P 500 ended last week at 4457. It was a potentially important level because it matched the monthly high from June, which could mean old resistance is new support. Prices also held a 50% retracement of the rally between the lows of August 18th and the September 1st high. That could suggest last week's pullback didn't invalidate the recent gains. However, the index remained below the 45.28 resistance level from July and failed to hold its 50-day moving average. Bears might expect the lower high to be followed by a steeper drop under the August low. Interest rates are the other big focus, especially with CPI on Wednesday. The 10-year Treasury yield has tested highs from last October, but remained below them. Mild inflation could ease worries about more Federal Reserve rate hikes. Sharper inflation could do just the opposite and potentially push borrowing costs to new multi-year highs. That would likely weigh on risk assets like stocks. Energy was the best performing sector again last week after crude oil futures reached a 10-month high. Tight inventories continue to lift prices. Most other groups fell, led by industrial stocks and materials. Software companies bucked weakness in the technology sector, partly supported by cybersecurity names like Fortinet and Palo Alto Networks. Health insurer Centene was the biggest gainer in the S&P 500 last week as it snapped back from a 23-month low. Oil refiners Marathon Petroleum and Valero Energy took the second and third spots according to TradeStation data. Airbnb was another noteworthy mover. The room-sharing stock jumped almost 10% on news it would join the S&P 500 on September 18th. We're now entering a busier period in the stock market after the summer. Macro issues like inflation and interest rates come first, with CPI this week and the Fed meeting on Wednesday, September 20th. Attention then turns to company-level news. Tesla reports quarterly deliveries in early October, followed by earnings season later in the month. Investors will also monitor developments in Washington, with the risk of a potential government shutdown next month. The only noteworthy event today is Oracle earnings after the closing bell. Tomorrow features the Apple event at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The CPI report at 8:30 on Wednesday morning as likely the most important event of the week. Economists expect headline inflation to increase by 0.6%. However, the less volatile core reading is forecast at 0.2% month over month. Crude oil inventories are due later in the morning. Semiconductor company ARM could also price its initial public offering, according to Bloomberg. It would start trading the next session under the symbol ARM. Thursday morning brings initial jobless claims, retail sales, and the Producer Price Index inflation report. There could also be headlines surrounding the auto industry, with a potential strike looming. Friday is quadruple witching, which sometimes features heavy volumes. Consumer sentiment is also due. Thanks for watching. Please visit tradestation.com for more.